I dare to be different. I dare to be different. I want to welcome you to Dream Chasers Radio with me, your host, Yaya Diamond. What's up, peoples? How you doing? It is a great day, and I'm so very excited to be here introducing to you. And she's an amazing author. Her name is Cecil Ouellet, and I hope I said that right because she gave me the pronunciation earlier, and I just want to make sure I got that good. Did I do that good?
It worked.
It worked. Well, thank you so much for joining me. I am so very excited to have you on the show today.
I'm kind of excited to be here.
All right, so I wanted to get into it. First of all, you guys, if you want to go check out the book, the QR code is in the corner as usual. The Days of Mawatani. Mawatani? Is that it?
That, that's it.
Okay, I wanted to make sure I said that right because you have some really cool names going on here, Cecile, and I want to make sure I get them all right. So tell us about yourself.
Well, there's been 86 years of me, and so there's a lot to tell. But I'll just tell a few things. I was raised on a Paiute Indian reservation in Nevada, and that's because my dad was with the railroad, and the railroad went through the reservation. So the first 8 years of my life, all my friends were Paiute Indians, which I don't think relates to my book at all, but it it might.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but then we moved to California in 1946, and I finished all my schooling and got my degree in music and was working on my master's. Then I had some health problems for 3 years. Then I got back into the music business, and I was in educational music, which is the people that sell the music to the schools and to the symphonies and the bands and all that.
Mm.
And that was in California. That was in Los Angeles area. And then
Wow.
1970, I was hired by a store in Denver, Colorado, which I loved, to open up a department of band, orchestra, and choral music, which I
Wow.
did. And then a few years later, I was hired as a salesman for 20 different music publishers in a 10-state territory. And I traveled that in a 28-foot motorhome. And it was the 5 best years of my life. They were just wonderful years. And then things changed in the business. So
Mm.
that wasn't a really good thing to do anymore. And I went back and worked for one of my customers in Denver for a while. And then I got tired of the music business and I got very involved with my church and um, went back to school, got a master's degree in adult Christian community development, and worked for the church for 5 years. And it was a wonderful job, but it was kind of demanding. And I also missed the music business. So I went back to the music business and was there until 94. And I ended up with sudden onset rheumatoid arthritis. I had to stop working. So
Mm.
that's the end of my music career there. But in the meantime, I started to write when I was in elementary school, really, just writing
Mm.
things. And then I started writing science fiction because I read Robert Heinlein's Farmer in the Sky.
Mm.
But most of my reading at that time was more classic. I used to love to read Plato and those guys,
Mm-hmm.
I learned a little philosophy. But then Star Trek came along, and became a trekker, not a
Yeah,
Trekkie, a trekker.
a
And there's a
checker.
difference between a trekker and a Trekkie. A trekker is interested in the philosophy and all that. And I decided that I wanted to practice my writing to just see what kind of a writer I was and what kind of a style I really had. And so I used the Star Trek characters of season one and two and three um, to write stories. And the club, there's a club in each state for Star Trek, and they talked me into make it into a fanzine,
Hmm.
and that sold pretty well. That was fun. So that was my first book,
Wow.
and and as far as personally, I love people. I love animals. I'm not a social person in parties and things like that. To me, a really good time is getting with your friends and having good conversations. Um, I'm not a loner, but I'm very comfortable being alone. So I don't know how you describe that, but that's I've been living alone a good part of my life,
Mm-hmm.
and I enjoy that part of it. But I enjoy right now. I'm living in a senior home
Mm-hmm.
with other seniors, and you're living alone, but you got lots of people around you to help you if you need you.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
So,
Anything else
yeah, when did the
about
days of Mawani come out? I mean, come to your mind? What was it
well,
like to grasp that picture in your mind about this book, and how
well,
did that come about for you? Because I know you said it might not be related to when you were young, when your father used to work on a railroad, and your first few years of life were with the Indians. But then again, I don't know. It just might.
well, I think I have such a respect and appreciation for our native people,
Hmm.
and they are misunderstood by so many people. They're still asking, do they still live in teepees? And they think of them. A lot of people still think of them as savage people, and they were for the first 15 or 20,000 years they lived here. They were not savage at all. They were very organized individual family units in small villages. They had wonderful organization, and their life is, they don't have a religion because their whole life is spiritual, and it's a wonderful thing. And the way this book came about is really interesting
Okay.
because I hadn't had a lot of contact with Indians since we left Nevada. And when I was working for the church, I had a forum for people to talk about problems they had with the church and things like that. And they were 8-week forums. And on our second 8-week forum, there was a Lakota couple that came on. And I became absolutely fascinated with the way they handled problems and handled solutions. There's, no heavy anger, no, it was just handling it very calmly in a cool way. And other people were jumping up and down and very upset and things like this. And these people just responded to all problems and everything with a whole different attitude. And I said, this has to be from how they were brought up.
Hmm.
So I'm going to study the Lakotas. So I started reading about the Lakotas, and I read and I read. That's the only thing I read is I had books on Lakotas, and I absolutely fell in love with their life. And I took a course from the Institute of Children's Literature,
Hmm.
and one thing was to write a short story. And I thought, you know what, I'm going to write a short story about this thing. And this little boy had come into my mind while I was doing the studying. I don't know where he came from, but he came. And for some reason, he was crippled.
Mm.
And I said, I'm going to write a story about him. Well, I started writing the story, and it was obvious this was not going to be a short story. So I put that in the drawer and did did something else. And later, I kept on reading about the Lakota, and all these characters kept coming to mind. Oh, this could work. That'll work. And all of a sudden, I had this story,
Wow.
except I didn't have an antagonist. So I had to create this antagonist. The rest of it sort of just came to me as I was studying. So I noticed there was one thing you were interested in how long it took to write a book. Well,
Yeah.
it was about 18 years
Oh,
because I wasn't writing a book. I had no intention of writing a book. I was just studying.
oh wow.
This book came out of it. It was really wonderful. And when I went to start actually writing it, it was interesting because I knew the characters so well. They'd been in my life for quite a while. And it was a very fascinating type of thing because I know it's good to get into your story, but this I was really into this one.
Mhm.
So it came out, and I think the antagonist ended up being pretty good, and that's the story of how that came about.
Wow.
And I feel so close to
Mhm.
these people. I mean, I love every one of them. I want Mawatani for a son or a great grandson at this point. Um, um,
Wow.
I I can't explain it. It's really weird. It's kind of eerie, but it's fun to think about the way it happened.
Wow, that is amazing. That is amazing. And it took you that long. Oh my gosh. That is like
Well,
crazy long time. But
I wasn't writing a book.
I know that's what I was getting ready to say. You really weren't writing it. You were just kind of going through the motions, and all of a sudden it turned into a book. When did you realize though that this was a book and that you needed to publish this?
Probably 2010, around there,
Oh wow.
something like that. And I started writing, and it was very difficult to do a lot of writing because I was taking care of my mother then, who was quite ill, and so I got to it when I could, and then she died in 97, and then I really went to it, but it still took me a long time
Mm,
because I was still reading. There's so much information about them
yeah.
and so much bad information about them that I did as much research as I could to make sure I got the best information I could that was
Hmm.
accurate. And it was published first time in 2012.
Wow. Wow.
And
Oh my gosh, let me ask you this question. Did you ever think that you were going to be a published author? That is just like the most amazing thing to me, that you would be writing this book out of research and then all of a sudden you're a published author. What did that feel like?
well, I was sort of published with the Star Trek thing, but that's not really, it's just a fanzine. But I always wanted to be.
Hmm.
I wanted to be a writer. In fact, when I had the sudden onset rheumatoid and was really crippled up, I couldn't write, I couldn't do anything. I finally got so I could type a computer. When I went for my to the government to get my disability, They
Mm-hmm.
said, "Well, what are you going to do with your life now?" And I said, "I'm going to write." And doggone it, I did.
I hear that. I hear that. So the days of Mawatani, right? And people can
Well,
get,
what, honey?
well, Mawatani. People can go
Yeah,
to Amazon and get that. I'm going to have the link in the description box below. This is wonderful, wonderful. Are you going to be writing more books, maybe?
I'm 86 years old. And see, the reason it's called the Days of Mawatani, the boy who turned himself around, is that when I started, I said, I've got enough material here. I'm going to write 3 books. I'm going to write a series called The Days of Mawatani. And the first one will be this. But they kept the title, so it's got a long title.
Yeah, it does, but it's okay. I've seen longer titles. I've definitely seen longer titles, so it's not a problem. Not a problem at all.
And my problem now is I'm almost blind.
Oh.
And it's really hard to see the screen. And
Hmm.
and maybe if I had a co-writer, we could do it. I don't know.
No, I mean,
But
th- think about it this way. There's all different kinds of different things that you can do now. You don't really need to necessarily see the screen, and you can definitely get a code writer to check your spelling and make sure you're okay. But you could talk into an apparatus, or you could talk into the screen through Google. And Google has like this thing where you go in Google Docs and you can talk
mm,
into it, and it actually types it for you.
mhm. I've got to think that way though.
Well, the days of Mawatani is Mawatani, right? Mawatani is in
Yeah,
Amazon. We do have the QR code, and it also is in the description box below. Cecil, thank you so much for being on the show. I truly, truly appreciate you very, very much.
I appreciate you doing it very
This
much.
has been wonderful. Is there anything that we left out that you would like to say?
Um, well, I guess I've already answered some of these questions that I was looking at, and um, yeah, ask what inspires you to write. I don't know. I just have something I want to say, and that seems a good way to do it.
Hmm.
It's the only way I can answer that.
Yeah. Yeah, I hear that.
But I think I've covered basically the whole
Yeah.
ball of wax.
Definitely, definitely. Well, I think you did an amazing job.
Thank you.
Thank you. And thank you guys so much for tuning in. We're going to have that. Well, the link is up here on the QR code as well as in the description box below where you can go ahead and get that at Amazon. And please check it out for yourself. I mean, this is like almost 20 years of your life here.
Yes, it is.
My gosh. Oh, wow. Okay. Well,
I
then
think about that a lot.
yeah, that's a long time. So we need to go ahead and y'all go and do this and check it out for yourselves to see if you like it. You can get it as a gift, or you can just go ahead and get it because look, this is 20 years of a life, and she's done a lot of research. So you guys need to go check this out. Okay. So the days of Mawatani is on Amazon. There is a QR code in the description box below. And thank you, Cecile, so much again.
Thank you.
All right. Until next time, guys, don't forget to dare to be different. Bye, guys.
Don't forget to follow us on YouTube and Instagram. Thank you for watching.
I dare to